Hello everyone, welcome down the hobby hole, a weekly podcast about hobbies, interests and hyperfixations, sometimes our own and sometimes discovering new ones with guests. I'm your host Daniel Rustage, musician, dungeon master, card game designer, man of many hobbies, and I'm joined by my co-host and best friend Mark Shwabadi, and also, ironically, totally not Mark. Do you want to introduce yourself, Mr.
My name is also Mark, not to be confused with the other co-host Mark, but I won't be referring to myself as Mark. No one ever refers to themselves in the third person anyway. But I basically focus on anime content online, like using a more analytical lens. I do a lot of blind reviews, and hopefully I'll be exposing my inability, not inability, but we were actually talking off camera just 2 seconds ago, but like I've made a career basically off of like my inexperience with the actual medium of anime. Like a lot of people when they're operating within like anime YouTube and become anime YouTubers, they do so because they've had a lot of experience with a lot of different shows. But I'm not sure if you had this experience growing up in England, but like in Ireland, we got like very few shows. Like,
no. I predominantly started as a manga reader, but I'm in a very similar boat to you because I've built my career off rapping about anime. But when I started, I'd only seen like 3 or 4. Like I'd seen like Detective Conan, One Piece, Naruto, and I had to like read through a whole bunch of new shows so that I would have stuff to make music about.
I haven't even seen Detective Conan. Like
most people haven't.
Yeah, okay, but like I mean, I didn't see Naruto, I didn't see One Piece, I didn't see Detective Conan. I didn't see any of the big 3 really. The only thing that I really saw was Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and people don't even really count Pokemon. But I had virtually no experience with anything, and because I was sort of a big Dragon Ball or coming up Dragon Ball YouTuber, I was sort of tangentially associated with anime YouTube, and so I kind of felt like, okay, shit, I need to up my knowledge on this, and so I turned a weakness into like a strength where I like, okay, I'll make a series of videos where I kind of like watch or review manga or anime for the very first time, and so now I've seen like a litany of different shows. I've seen all the big 3.
It's honestly a perfect way to do it. You're just commercializing the your first experience with something.
I turned something so pure and enjoyable into
now every time you read something, you're like, oh, how could I write 3,000 words about this?
It's hilarious when you approach me for this. Like I think when you approach me, you explained to me the concept of what this podcast is, and you're like, oh, it's exploring your hobbies and all that kind of stuff. It's like, do you know what I do for a living? Do you know that this is not my this is wrong.
What
I
would
wake up in the morning and I don't want to read or watch any fucking anime. I hate this shit. Don't do it.
This is not a game to me.
I understand this because this is what I'm like with writing rap lyrics now. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Okay. So you probably started like getting into music because like, oh, that's a hobby, and you do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The thing about a hobby is you do it when you want to. The thing about a job is you wake up at 7 a.m. and say, oh, I gotta read fucking 7 volumes of manga today. I want to slam fucking 7 movies. No one wants to do that. It's like you're trapped in a fucking airplane.
What is your hobby then? Like, if it's not anime, what would you say is your hobby? We get you on a future episode about that.
I like doing like marathons.
Okay. I don't know any athletic people. Okay.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call myself athletic, but like I do a lot of distance running, and this year I want to do. This is completely unrelated to anime. But,
it's all good. No, we'll do an episode on distance running in the future, and we'll get you on because that falls in the purview of the podcast. This is what's great about this podcast in general is its variety of covering lots of different topics, and
we can do it literally about anything.
Yeah.
Huh?
We could do it about
we can do an episode about literally fucking anything. It's hilarious.
I like even recently, just to kind of like, there's a piano over there. I decided to start learning how to play piano. I'm taking lessons at it now. So like, it's another hobby that I have.
Yeah.
But I do have hobbies. It's just because anime and manga have become my job. I think I'm decent at what I do. I think I'm quite okay at what I do. But and that's not the issue. It's just like. Like when you wake up in the morning and like the last thing I want to do, like when I have a day off, I don't want to fucking watch anime or read.
Yeah, I get that. It's the thing that you want to do the least when you have free time.
Yeah, because you spend so much of your week doing it already. You know, like at the minute right now, I'm in the middle of. This will probably be already released by the time I actually get around to uploading this video. But I'm like in the middle of writing like a character study analysis series on like all the Straw Hat Pirates. Yeah. And I just finished writing and recording for Luffy. And the next one will be Zoro, and the next one after that will be blah blah blah. I'm inclined to go in the order in which they were introduced in the story, but I might not. I don't know. Depends on what I have to fucking say. But I'm basically using. But like I have like, fuck. 1 sec. If I can,
you can
like
pan down.
That's my hoodie. That's my hoodie. 1 second. Like those are all the books that I use and read to like. That's all narrative theory. There's more books over here.
Oh wow.
It's not even reading the source. You're reading up on.
I'm reading about how to read.
How to read. Going whole hog. I mean, you're very dedicated. We love your videos. And we're very excited to have you on.
I think like the like so like the reason why I want to be thorough and like do all the kind of like research and all that kind of stuff is mostly just coming from insecurity. Because like
you worried about imposter syndrome and stuff.
Yeah, massively. Like, I really want to make sure that like if I am saying something, it can be right or insightful or something like that. Like I don't feel like me by default is interesting. So I don't. Yeah.
Well, I listen to a lot of your like videos and stuff and analysis sometimes when I'm writing a rap about a character, and I'll take some of that into consideration, especially if I'm writing a rap about like someone like Eren Yeager or something like that. When I'm writing a character rap where it's more from like an emotional point of view or like from an analysis point of view as opposed to making hard-hitting bars, that I'll watch something of yours to help with my research.
You listen to my flowery bullshit.
Yeah. And I translate it into rap lyrics.
Yeah, my flowery verbiage that I honestly God, the people that I work with now are just like, because like it used to just be me writing and editing, and then it was just me writing and I had an editor. Now it's me writing, someone goes through all the bullshit that I write and say, that doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense, your grammar here is terrible. And like it fixes it. Okay, so
that's good. That's what we need.
Mark improvement in the quality of my writing, it's not me, it's actually them.
Yeah. So how did you, so you were saying that the only thing that you were really into was Dragon Ball before you've consumed a whole bunch of anime. How did you initially get into anime? This is also a question for totally is Mark.
That's difficult to quite, because like I was very young, so like the first anime quote unquote that I probably got into was Pokemon, and around that time there was a lot of like secondary stuff. Like I didn't actually, I don't think I got into Dragon Ball until I was like maybe 7, but like it was like Pokemon, then there was like all the kind of I think there was Beyblades, and there was Digimon, there was Pokemon, there was
there's there's like anime style like but not anime shows. Obviously Avatar's the debated one, but there's shows like Galactic Football that I used to watch as well, which sort of fall into that kind of, it's anime style but it isn't. And it's like a gateway drug into anime. I got into anime mostly through manga because my local library had manga, and so I would read One Piece, I would read Detective Conan, but also I was really, really into making AMVs when I was 8 years old.
Cool. 8 years old, that's so cool.
Oh yeah. Seriously? Yeah, genuinely. Like that's the first thing
Daniel started everything so young.
Yeah.
Whenever he's like, I started creating this type of stuff when I was fucking 6. I'm like,
and when he told me his age, I was like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because I started doing music when I was like 12. But
yeah. Well, that explains as well, like why you're so good at what you do. Like, I think a lot of people, when they're really passionate about something and it eventually becomes their career, there are usually roots like from when you were a kid. Like when I was a kid, like I would bother my parents incessantly asking them questions about, like I could be watching my favorite movie or my favorite show or whatever, and eventually at around like ages 8 or 9, I'll start asking my mom or my dad questions about like, you know, like cinematography or why does this scene work this way? And I eventually got to a point where they just didn't fucking know. And so eventually I just needed to figure it out on my own. And like that kind of drive to figure it out, like helps you become like better at what you do. Like you eventually kind of like, you got good at music and then you wanted to get better at music because you saw.
I have this incessant thing of trying to get everyone around me into the same things as me, as Shwabadi will attest. That's our entire relationship.
Most of my hobbies and interests are just Rustage's hobbies and interests that he's introduced to me.
But I have this
what were the gateway animes that for you? You didn't answer.
Yeah,
I walked all over that. Sorry.
Yeah, Mark. It's confusing with Mark. Yeah.
The real Mark. Yes.
Yeah, the real Mark.
The real
totally Mark. I think when I was a kid, I was aware of anime, but I didn't get into it until I was like an adult. And I think the first like manga I read all the way through was Naruto.
Oh, cool.
which was fun because I have some crazy strong opinions on Naruto. But, like, that's like it starts as one of the best shonen and ends in a way that makes me so furious. So it's like that was like such a fun arc. But yeah, from that I went through like a lot of the classics. I went through Dragon Ball and stuff, and I watched a lot of anime like Cowboy Bebop.
What did you think of Dragon Ball?
I love Dragon Ball.
He loves Dragon Ball.
Okay, that's the right answer.
I love Dragon Ball so much, and it's hilarious. I have a lot of like very strong feelings about anime, especially like the longer ones, obviously that keep you invested for a while, like Dragon Ball and through Z and stuff, and One Piece. And I don't necessarily ever know how to explain those feelings I have. I just know that I feel a certain way. So when I watch videos like yours, where it's like someone who's actually analytical starts breaking them down, like, that's why I feel that way.
Like, I'm actually insanely jealous of what you just described. Your ability to like watch something and just be able to enjoy it.
I can't do that either.
If I watch something and I don't know why I like it, I will obsessively kind of research and read until I can formulate a conclusion. So like realistically, when you're watching one of my videos and I'm like, oh look, he's explained something in a way that I've never like been able to articulate, that's mental illness.
That's true. Can I tell you something, guys? Something dramatic that happened to me as a child. The other one.
Oh my god.
When we were in school, I was trying to get everyone into manga, right, in my school, and I got lots of people into One Piece and Naruto and stuff, and everyone had bought their own manga and stuff, and we thought, me and my group of friends were like, let's all band together and donate all of our manga to the school library so everyone could read manga whenever they want to. And so we all did that. It's like a great effort, and it was great. So the school library had a whole bunch of manga. Year after, they went through the manga and deemed it too violent for children, and they it was like Naruto and One Piece, like all the shonen classics and stuff, right? And they deemed it too violent for children, so they just threw it all away. They did not return them. They just destroyed them all.
Jeez, it's like a book burning session.
Yeah, like a book burning.
Yeah.
And it was true, because this was like, I would say, hundreds of quids worth of manga that we as children had graciously donated. Like, it was like volumes 1 to 30 of Naruto or something, and like
a lot of money.
It's a lot.
Like, I think that on its own is like 60 or 70 quid.
Yeah. Especially for like a bunch of kids, that's crazy, dude.
And I was the one to blame by my friends, because I was the one that convinced them to donate it.
It's really cool that you guys had like that kind of initiative, and like it was even in this kind of vertical of like what we're talking about now. That's really cool. I would never have had the kind of what's the initiative to do that when I was like
the thing is, I'm only generous if it means I can get more people into the things that I'm into. The amount of games that I have bought for other people is insane.
Oh no, when I'm talking to my wife, like, my wife is, I think we're together because she's like exceptionally patient with me. I'm one of those people that, like, if I get really into something, I'm like obsessively into it. Like, unironically, I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 27 by like both a psychologist.
I got diagnosed with ADHD last year.
It's really in vogue. But when I like something, I get really into it. I want to know everything about it, and I want to know why it makes me feel that way. That's the mental illness I'm talking about earlier. But I will incessantly I need to kind of like share this with someone. It's like, this is really good. I'd be like, this is really good, right?
Please.
Be like, what's really good? And I'll go on like a diatribe for like 15 minutes, explain to her why this is the most important thing, and it deserves all of her undivided attention for the next 3 weeks.
Well, then I think that's a perfect transition for you to tell us the most question you've probably been asked a million times. What would you say is either your favorite or the best anime you've ever watched, manga you've ever read?
I've read way more manga than I've seen.
I'm sort of grouping them together. This whole thing's grouping it together.
Well, I got a different answer for both.
Yeah, give a different answer then, because I think I have a different answer for both too.
Yeah, because there are some manga that don't have either a good anime adaptation or one that's living up. Yeah, so I think in terms of anime, I think Attack on Titan is really, really good. I think in terms of production, in terms of adaptation, even Isayama, I think when Isayama, the writer of Attack on Titan, he went back and like, revised a few things and tightened up like it in places where the manga didn't. So like, I think that's I think that's really good, really, really good.
And the manga's rough. I read the manga.
The manga starts off rough, but
it does get better.
The manga reading experience of Attack on Titan might be one of the most incredible experiences I've had in one. You think I'm being ironic, and I am, but not eventually not. So like, by the time the last arc, so like part 4 or whatever that material is, all that stuff that you see Amma draws, it's like, because he was so like, I'm gonna draw this my way, and it starts off really fucking shit. But like when he starts off drawing it his way, and he brute forces it that way, he just invents this style. That
the emotion's really good with his art.
Incredible shit. Like, as in, like the last 25% of the manga is some of the best looking manga I've seen ever. And so like, it genuinely, it's super good. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah.
But sorry, you were going to say something.
Well, I've read all the Colossus editions, so and there's something about his sort of sketchy style on a big page that is like really effective.
Can I just say, the Colossal editions, I hate them.
Why?
Because when they arrive, they're already damaged.
Oh, like, really?
They bruise and tear and rip like fucking like it's.
I don't know. I'm just gonna spill
whatever
different.
the paper equivalent of leprosy is. They have it, okay?
Rip to your editions of Attack on Titan, but I'm different. Mine are pristine.
Oh no! I'm gonna take pictures and I'll show you later. They're fucking like I haven't even fucking opened these, and they're already dented and fucking. They're awful. Okay. Anyway, I actually wanted to get into bookbinding so that I could make my own custom fucking thing
for the Colossus editions.
Yeah,
because I think even in the early versions, the Titans look good because they look so crazy in that like sketchy round style. Like really, you don't need good anatomy when you're drawing something that inherently doesn't have good anatomy.
See, this is it. You turn a weakness into a positive. So like, I turned my inability to know anything about anime and turned it into a positive. Yeah. And he did after that. But in terms of manga, then, so Attack on Titan would be my like. I think Attack on Titan and Death Note and all that kind of stuff are like really good kind of gateways for people.
Yeah.
I think, for sure. I think as concepts they're really easy. You can explain the concept and hook of Attack on Titan and Death Note.
That's like that trifecta of intro anime is like Attack on Titan, Death Note, and like Full Metal Alchemist. I think.
Full Metal Alchemist is I think that's almost a harder sell than those two because I think
it is.
But it's I've read all of Full Metal Alchemist and I think it's 10 out of 10. It's brilliant. But I think it's just it might be a bit weird for someone opening it up. Whereas I think Attack on Titan and I think not to say that Attack on Titan isn't weird, but like
no, but it's like it's a believable fantasy. It's quite Western.
Like the premise of it, like you know, like they're like what's beyond the walls. Yeah. That question alone is like fucking entrancing.
Yeah, anyway, we love mysteries.
Yeah, mysteries are sick.
Right.
But the One Piece treasure. But the for manga, it's always been one thing, and One Piece is incredible. It's a fantastic experience, but no manga has ever surpassed Berserk for me. Berserk is incredible. Yeah.
But the amount that I've read, I've really enjoyed it, but I haven't gotten.
I think you've read the same amount as me, right? We both read up to like Eclipse.
Yeah.
That's one that I read. I read it in like the big editions, the big Berserk editions, and dude's art looks so good.
It's so
like
good.
on those giant pages. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It gets better. It gets better and better.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The first arc of that story was just him dicking around trying to figure out what he wants to do, and then once the second arc starts, it's just off to the races, and it's just like I couldn't put it down. It was so good. I think even to this day, it's like my second most viewed video on my channel. It's like I got like almost 5.
Well, Berserk fans love hearing other people's opinions on Berserk.
No. Anime fans
love hearing other people's.
Well, anime and manga fans
in general,
don't love hearing opinions. They love hearing their opinions validated.
Yes, yes. Because it's the same for One Piece fans.
No one actually cares about what I have to say. They only care about what I have to say when I'm, like, you know, giving them another. Oh, look, this is another argument I can use now for like my show is really good here.
Yeah.
That's like 99% of my. I love my fan base, but like I feel like I do this. Yeah. No one likes looking at like if I'm like a really big fan of like a show, I don't go on to looking for someone. I need to find someone who fucking hates.
I have a problem. I genuinely have like had to mute subreddits because Reddit just has this habit of just giving me opinions about things I love and telling me why it's bad, and I can't handle this because it sometimes taints my own view. Like I'll be loving a video game, and then the subreddit will be like, this is really terribly balanced," and I'm like, "Oh right, actually maybe it is." Yeah.
Maybe I don't like this.
I'm gonna have to say.
Really weird.
What's that? I'm gonna say Shwabadi. I'm gonna say Shwabadi just so that.
Oh yeah, you can just call me Shwabadi.
I'll say Shwabadi.
That's easier.
Favorite anime / manga.
It's so difficult for me because like I have so many that I hold to sort of kind of the same regard.
There's
different. Like so many of them that I love.
Depends on your mood as well, like. You know,
for sure. Yeah.
Like
if you ask me some days, then One Piece is my favorite manga ever.
Yeah.
No, same.
Same. Well, my dad got into a Reddit argument because somebody asked him what his favorite classical musician was, and he said, "People don't have favorites. Children have favorites." And he had a whole argument about how having a favorite is childish, and that Reddit comment was then pasted on the subreddit / I am very smart, and everyone started making fun of him for it.
He sounds like
It's very funny. I love your dad's Reddit antics.
Yeah.
What's that anime or manga as well? But it's like about this kind of like civilization that's like built around this giant hole. What's that called?
Made in Abyss.
That's fucking brilliant. I've
only seen 3 episodes.
I've read I think 6 volumes, and I love it. Like the atmosphere and everything of that, the world building is so good.
Yeah. Another one that's really fucking like I'm just trying to think of like things that have like really interesting hooks, like the big hole, the big walls, the fucking book that kills you. But like the there's another one. What's that? Forgetting Neverland or
Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland.
The manga's good, but the anime fucked it up because they just wanted to do something different for some reason.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Is the manga actually good?
Promise Neverland, the manga.
I've heard incredible things about the manga.
And I've read the arc that would have been season 2, and it's really good. But then they just did something completely different for the anime for some reason. It's a completely different story. It's like what people do when they.
People always give me so much shit about like not covering the anime. This is fucking why.
Yeah,
I don't understand why they did it.
No, I know very little about that show and story just because I have like the first couple volumes, and I opened them and I started reading, and as soon as the twist revealed that like, oh shit, they're actually like on some kind of weird kind of like child farm, I'm like, this is fucking class. I'm gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna review this later.
I'm gonna read this one for fun. Let me get through all the stuff I'm reading for my job first.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was gonna say, speaking of like interesting premises, like one of my favorite mangas is Beastars. Because when I first read that, I was like, oh, this is just, racism allegory, using animals instead of people. We've seen this before. It's, Zootopia, whatever. Yeah. But then you start getting into it and you're like, oh no, it's way deeper than that. Because it takes the premise of like, the idea of like a racism allegory or whatever, using like different types of animals. But then it's like, if these actually were animals, it would be way more complex than that.
So they
it's really fun.
Is it kind of like Zootopia?
Well, I think it's what Zootopia wishes it was.
Okay. That's what it feels like at first, and you're like, oh, this is just going to be a Zootopia thing. But then it goes like way
actually
deeper.
Instead of like just using them as parallels, it also explores the specifics of the animals as well and takes that into consideration.
Cool. I've never seen Beast. I think it's on Netflix or something. There was some kind of show.
Yeah, it is. The anime, I really like the anime. It's like it does like this mixed media adaptation, so it's like 3D, 2D, and all this other stuff that I think is really well done. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be weird.
I think it's really cool.
Are you going to say your favorite manga is One Piece then, Mark?
I guess so. It's just so hard to pick one.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same, just because it has also an emotional. It was like the big first one that I really got into. And, no, like as in, it means a lot to me personally, because it was the thing I was really into as a kid. Like when I was 7-8 years old, I was super into One Piece, and for most of my life I didn't know anyone else that was. And so when I went to Japan for the first time, and I went to Tokyo Tower, where they used to have the One Piece exhibition on, and you go into a room and they do like this trailer of animated manga panels of One Piece, and then you enter to a room and there's big statues of all the crew and they're singing to you. I'm like, I genuinely just started crying. I was inconsolable, because I'm like, this thing that like mattered so much to me as a kid, that used to be just my thing, is so worldly recognized, and it's this huge. And I
had a very similar experience with, so like I think for me Dragon Ball was my One Piece. So like I went on the very first time I ever went to Japan, my friend brought me to USJ, and we went there, and at the time they were doing some kind of like, they usually do some kind of like 3D 4D experience depending on whatever property is hot at the time. At the moment, Dragon Ball Super was like being released, so Dragon Ball Super was sort of like the new hotness or whatever. So like there was some kind of like 4D experience. We went in, and it was like Goku fighting fucking Broly or something, I don't know, but there was a moment, and the place was packed as like this kind of cinema. I don't know if you've ever been in those kind of like 4D theaters where the seats move and there's like wind and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Legoland.
But when there was a point in it towards the end where the fight was kind of coming to its climax and Goku was going to lose, and he just throws up his hands to kind of like for the Genki Dama, the Spirit Bomb.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of sitting there enjoying the experience as like a kind of a singular event.
Yeah.
But then everyone, all the kids around me, just started putting their hands up to Goku, and I actually just started crying. It was like, that's such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
That's
so like the unparalleled theater experience.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in those situations where you're watching a movie and the audience participation in it is sometimes so good. Like people cheering.
Endgame from Marvel and stuff.
Yeah. Endgame was one of the big ones for it, where people were cheering and stuff. And
I will never forget. I will be telling my daughter and my like future children all about that day.
Yeah.
That's my Star Wars.
I've never seen Star Wars. That's my fun.
I saw Star Wars. I don't think it's worth going back and looking at.
Ooh.
Because I feel like it's a cultural thing. Because like I feel like, so my experience, I liked it as like I can look at it objectively and say, okay, that's a well-written story. It's like these are really interesting ideas and they're very good for their time. But I think because they're so ubiquitous in the culture and so many things have taken from them, that like when you see something happening, it was like, oh, that's that thing from that other thing. But in reality, the other thing that I'm actually referencing was actually something that took from Star Wars.
That's how I feel when I read Agatha Christie novels, like mystery novels, because they'll have these twists that I'll see coming because somebody else has done them later, and you have to remember that Agatha Christie did it first. Like there were so many Detective Conan cases which were just Agatha Christie cases that they.
Same thing with Indiana Jones and all that kind of stuff. Like all those different kind of adventure things are kind of like, you know, like all those like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, fucking even Jaws to a certain extent, and Psycho. Like there's like all those kind of like root fucking like, you know, water cooler movie moments. Like, you know, like they're the ones that have inspired all the different things. And so when it came to watching A New Hope, which is the first Star Wars movie, well technically the fourth one, but whatever. Yeah. The when it came to watching that, I was like watching it and like, okay, this is how this scene works, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, I know how this is going to end because of like other pop culture things that I know.
Right.
I feel like that kind of diluted the experience a bit. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of media I like nowadays that is because they're so there's no expectations there.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk about. We talked about our favorites, but I think it's quite interesting to talk about sort of underrated or like anime or manga that you've read or watched that not many people have heard about. You might not have a lot of this, Mark.
I thought you were going to go for our least favorite.
No. We'll do that in a second.
No. Okay.
I want to do underrated because I still want to be positive. You might not have a lot of these just totally not Mark, because you read a lot of anime that you know you want to make a video about. So you're not that like, and I'm sort of similar. You're less likely to.
I'm not sure. I need to think about it. I'm not sure because
I'll start then, because I have one that I love that I recommend to people, which is Odd Taxi. And it's an anime. It's only 13 episodes. Anime only 13 episodes, and it's just such a great complete story, and I absolutely adore it. It's an incredible mystery. The characters are written like not anime characters, if that makes sense. Like they talk. They sort of talk more monotone and more casually. They talk over each other sometimes. It doesn't have that same like thing that you expect from anime where characters enunciate and exaggerate more. And it's just it's a simple premise and everything just works in that story. It's got I don't know. It's one of those few ones. I have a problem now that I'm older, I will watch a lot of anime that people recommend me, and I'm just sort of like, this is okay. This is fine. You know, someone will be like, oh, you've got to watch Overlord, and I'm like, I'll watch Overlord, and I'm like, I get this. This is fine. But this one I was like,
jaded after a while.
Yeah, this one I absolutely adored, and also it's so easy to get into. It's not like you have to watch 200 episodes. It's only 13, and that's it. That's the story. Yeah. So super recommended.
Everyone I know that's watched Odd Taxi absolutely adores it.
Yeah.
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 I need to finish it. I only watched 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that might not grab you in the first 2 or 3 episodes, but you have to sort of give it a chance, I think.
There was a show before I started making anime my job. There was a show that I was doing a night shift and there was nothing to do, so I just I'll just look for a show to watch. And I happened upon a short series called Shirobako.
I've heard the name, but I don't know if I...
So this is like a show about making an anime.
Oh yes, I do know it then.
Oh yeah.
It's I wouldn't say it's like revolutionary or anything, but I just had such a fun time watching it. It was such a chill experience, and it was exactly what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
So probably Shirobako is probably like one of the more esoteric anime that I've seen.
Actually, in terms of anime that I enjoyed that I didn't think I would be the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
That's a lot of words.
I recognize some of those words. What happened?
The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. It was quite popular back in the day.
I might have heard of that. Yeah.
Haruhi Suzumiya.
Haruhi Suzumiya. It's about a girl who's secretly like all powerful, but she doesn't realize it. And so anything that she wants to happen kind of just happens. I can't quite remember. And this guy is part of an occult club, and all of the other members of that club are secretly one's secretly an alien, one's secretly a time traveler, but he's the only guy who knows this, and he can't tell anyone about it. And it's very slice of life comedy, and it's one of those shows that you wouldn't expect 10-year-old me to watch, but I watched it, and it genuinely is just such a little fun experience. It has, in the second season, 8 episodes which are exactly the same.
What?
I've heard of it.
It's famously called Endless 8. The concept is they have a summer holiday, and at the end of it, the Haruhi Suzumiya feels like she didn't spend her summer holiday as well, and she wishes she could do it again. But because she wishes she could do it again, that means it does happen again. So the next episode is the summer holidays again, and the characters have to realize at the start they don't realize that they're living the same loop again.
Okay, so it is new. It's sort of like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. So none of the characters know except for one of the other. I don't know. One of them, I think, who's like I don't know. But you, as a viewer, if you're watching that weekly, you don't know which episode is going to be the last one, and it happens 8 times.
That's sick.
And there's slight
really
differences.
Cool.
It's a crazy thing.
It's kind of avant-garde. It's kind of it's really kind of experimental shit. That's really cool.
People who go back and watch it now tend to just watch the first one and then the last one. Yeah. Because it's why am I going to watch 8 episodes of the same thing? But I imagine that weekly watching experience.
Yeah, it's just going to be the crazy idea.
I feel like watching it weekly would be terrifying, but I feel like if you're watching it on Netflix and you can see, okay,
yeah, there's 8 of them.
We're doing this. Okay, I can do this. I can prepare myself mentally for this. Yeah. I feel like it would drive me even watching Dragon Ball weekly back in the day was fucking cancerous because there was. I think they would do the start of the Dragon Ball Z with Raditz through to Ginyu, and they just kind of loop that a number of times.
Yeah. I see. Yeah.
So it was awful. It was bad.
Yeah. I watched the random episodes of the Saiyan saga. I would watch Toonami every day, and it's just random episodes of the Saiyan saga in any order.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what the hell the narrative is. I just didn't know.
That was my exposure to One Piece. Sort of. Yeah. Before I started reading it, I would I knew the entire Aeneas lobby arc before I knew anything else.
That's so funny.
Because that was the currently airing arc at the time, I think. And I was watching AMVs about it.
I was really lucky. I didn't know anything about One Piece.
I actually think I kind of wish I was able to read it without being so exposed to it just online and stuff, because there are so many moments in that which are so universal spoilers now that everyone knows, but are such big moments.
I mean, I didn't know. I didn't everyone seemed to be really surprised that I didn't know about. Spoiler alert for One Piece.
Well, hold up. Actually, you could just say the thing. We'll keep it spoiler free because I am so passionate about people having a genuine One Piece experience. But I know what you're talking about. So we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's when fucking when dies. That kind of it's awful. It's a really, but I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know when I didn't know that supposed to die or whatever. So when it was coming, I was like, fucking get there.
It's a huge moment, and it's one of those things that when people can experience it, because the reason why it works so well is because Oda doesn't let people die in the story, and so you just expect it not to happen because all of the other characters who've died before don't actually. So when it does happen, you're like, what the fuck?
It's also crazy. That's after. It is after. That's after the Shwabadi archipelago stuff as well. You have that entire breakdown where you think they're all fucking dead,
and
that's really cool. It's a very nice subversion. It's very good. But I'm really glad that I was able to see that sort of as it was intended. I had no idea that was going to happen, so that was really cool.
I got lucky as well. I didn't have any One Piece spoilers.
I am actually going to censor you saying it in the episode so that other people can experience it.
Shwabadi,
Shwabadi, what would you say is your underrated anime?
one of my favorite mangakas is a guy called Nagabe, who's this like Japanese artist who does a lot of like furry characters, which is any furry bait manga is instantly going to get me there just because I like those characters a lot. I like those character designs. But he does like all these like really low key slice of life like romance things, but in cool settings. Like there's like a magic school, like very Hogwartsy kind of magic school, that kind of thing. But it's not about that at all. Like that's barely a feature. That's just like the backdrop. Yeah, and then it's all about like these characters exploring like their sexuality and discovering who they are. And it's like, oh, that's really cute. So that, and also one that's less obscure, Dorohedoro.
Oh, yeah,
I haven't seen it either.
I fucking love Dorohedoro. I just barely know anyone who's actually watched it.
I don't know even what it's about. I don't know anything about it.
It's very hard to describe. The setting's so cool though. It's basically it's like a setting of like sorcerers, like these magic users, fighting with non-sorcerers. And the plot is very hard to grasp because I mean I've watched it, I've read a bunch of the manga as well. I still don't really fully know what it's about, but it's got incredible characters and like the world is super interesting. So
okay,
yeah.
Do you guys have like favorite anime movies?
Yeah, I like Your Name a lot. When
I
I watched it, when I watched it, I didn't know it was the best-selling anime movie of all time. The context I watched it was I was on a flight, a long-haul flight, and I was looking for the movies and I saw it and I was like, that's so funny. There's an anime movie on a flight. I'm gonna watch it. It's probably gonna be bad because it's an anime movie on a flight. Yeah, and I watch it all. I almost stopped halfway through because I was just like, I was just watching it. Not really super invested, and then I didn't even realize it's one of those things. I love going into media without any expectations and not even knowing the genre. I didn't know it was a romance movie, so that meant the romance felt more genuine to me, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because when something's a romance movie, you start being like, oh, I know they're going to get together. But I didn't know that, so it felt genuine. And at the end of it, I was crying so much on the flight that the woman next to me had to ask if I was okay.
My experience with Your Name literally changed my life.
Yeah,
literally changed my life. And I'm like, that's a bold claim, but ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a bold story here. Okay.
Okay.
So I moved to Japan in I think the year that Your Name came out. So
yeah, I
was sitting alone in a tiny apartment in Osaka, just watching this movie for the very first time. At the same time, I decided, I had left Ireland for the very first time in my life and left behind a relationship that had just started with the girl that I really wanted to actually kind of like, because we had talked and been friends for our entire lives, and I never had we almost did, but we never had the courage to kind of properly ask each other out. And just as I was leaving, I decided to say, look, I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life if I don't say it now. I really like you. I've always liked you. You've been a great friend to me, but you've been more than that to me, and all that kind of stuff. And she says, "Thank God you said it." All that kind of stuff. So we expressed our feelings for each other. We said that we'd wait for each other and all that kind of stuff. And I go to Japan. She stays in Ireland. When I'm watching this movie, I'm like, kind of really put into perspective, like, what the fuck am I doing in Japan here? Yeah. So I decided to, without telling her, because she thinks I'm in Japan for like a year and a half, whatever. This is 3 weeks into the fucking trip. Yeah. And like, I decided to buy tickets, a plane ticket home to surprise her. And I call her on the phone when I'm outside our house, and she's like, "Hello, what's going on?" All that kind of stuff. "Oh no, I'm just chilling here in Tokyo. Oh, by the way, would you mind going outside to your front door?" And I'm there with like fucking a big like romantic gesture, whatever. Fast forward to today, she's my wife, and I have a kid with her.
Yeah,
that's adorable. Oh my god, you live an actual romance movie.
So
that's incredible.
Your Name is easily my favorite.
Yeah. That is incredible.
A lot of times it's when it has that emotional resonance, right? And that's why Weathering with You just irritates me as a movie, because
I still haven't watched it just because I worry that it's not as good.
If I watched it first, I probably would really like it. But it feels like he's just written the same movie again, but this time it has like ad sponsors, it feels like I made so much money from this first movie, I'm going to do that again and make more money. And
there's another one that they made coming out.
I haven't watched the other one.
It came out. It's like
it's the one with the door, right?
The door and the rain, and
I haven't watched it because I don't know.
Is that the one that has like the chair?
Yeah.
Like there's a magic cherry.
The
Oh, it's
anthropomorphic
Susan,
cherry, yeah.
Someone who
Suzume
doesn't-
or something? Is that
Yeah.
what it's called?
Suzume, that's it, 100%.
For someone
Yeah.
who doesn't know what this anime is, us to describe it as the one with the door and the one with the chair is insane.
Yeah.
If you look at look at the fucking poster, that is entirely
it's
accurate.
all it is.
That's all it is. That's all I know about it.
Another good movie.
My favorite
was,
anime movie though is Wolf Children.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's such
That one made me so emotional.
Yeah.
I was a wreck.
Yeah. No, that Wolf Children is
love that movie.
fantastic. It's a really good movie.
I
It's
think,
really good exploration, like like a mother kind of dealing with like as a father, a new father, like dealing with like because I never had like any kind of like I don't have any sisters. I never had any kind of I only one cousin that was a girl. So like I like this is and my daughter. So like it's learning how to kind of like deal with like what does she need versus like like what would a boy need, because I'm used to dealing with boys. So.
Yeah. It's such a great like allegory for just like people growing up and finding their own paths in life, but through like a really interesting. Yeah,
Another great movie. Well, it came out around the same time as Your Name. It was A Silent Voice.
Yes, but apparently, according to people who've read the manga for Silent Voice, it's different and the manga's a lot better. I haven't read it myself, but at least 3 different people I know who love the Silent Voice manga are like, they were really upset with the movie, even though the movie is good. So
maybe a hot take. I really don't like the Silent Voice movie that much. Ooh. All the characters really irritated me.
Oh, really? Well,
so there was points in the movie where it was obviously like an emotional climax, and I felt myself getting like a little invested and a little upset, and then like the characters would do something, where I'm like, oh fuck this guy.
Like I can't
remember specifically
him as the character because I wasn't like him, but I can definitely empathize with the situation. And I thought I think this is another one of those situations where I kind of I intellectualize the entire experience, because I can't watch anything without like trying to intellectualize it.
Yeah, of course.
It's definitely more of a movie that I liked if you think about it, as opposed to a movie I enjoyed in the moment. And I kind of wish I read
stressed out in the moment when I was watching it. I was very stressed. Yeah, because like watching everything from like a bully's perspective was just fucking.
I get so stressed when I watch media.
I like the premise a lot, so maybe I should read the manga.
Yeah,
if
maybe
it's better.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like when I read manga, you can kind of put your own kind of like spin in it, and you might actually enjoy it more.
Sure.
Yeah, because you read it. The pacing is more on you with manga. Yeah, with manga. Yeah. And I feel like that helps as well. All right, let's talk about the either most overrated or worst anime quickly, just to say what's an anime or manga that you've read that either lots of people like or nobody likes that you also hate or
I kind of briefly alluded to it earlier, but Naruto Shippuden.
See, I still like it. Right, I think it's just disappointing.
I like 1/3 of Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah,
I don't dislike it because it's a disappointing end to the series. I dislike it because I genuinely think it's bad.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't think most of it makes sense within the context of the story, and so much of it is clearly just made up, kind of as he was getting towards the end of the story.
Yeah, well, I bet a lot of manga, unfortunately, can be like.
I know, like it gets that way, but like. I just like stories that feel as if they have like an intention to like that.
It's why people really like things like Fullmetal Alchemist, because it feels like she knew what she was going to end it with when she started 100%. Writing it. And I always like stories like that. That's why I like Odd Taxi. But yeah, I liked all the Sasuke stuff in Shippuden, to be honest. My biggest issue with Shippuden is the lack of Konoha 12 representation. They just
those characters just become so unimportant.
I'd say there's the obvious animes that I've watched that I've not enjoyed, like Sword Art Online, and there's like a bajillion different shows that people have said to me you should watch, and then I've really disliked that have just been like really generic, either isekai or just regular anime stuff.
I'm like scrolling through my the reason why I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm not like doing anything. I'm actually looking at like my channel, looking through the videos that I've made. I'm like, what was the most overrated thing?
What was the one I disliked the most?
Yeah, because I don't like.
Demon Slayer actually is my. The thing about Demon Slayer is that I really enjoyed aspects of it when you're like when it's all that setup and the animation's really cool and it's like this is cool, but then when it starts to. I watched series 2 and I really didn't enjoy it. And then I read a lot of the manga and I also didn't enjoy it. I just felt like the writing of the characters was so poor to me. And then I started to get quite irritated by the animation because it started to become like too flashy. Like it doesn't have good choreography, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but the choreography of the animation isn't like like
it didn't vibe with you.
Yeah, like there's like Jujutsu Kaisen and like Dragon Ball that have good choreography in their animation, but Demon Slayer was just lots of flashy effects and lights constantly, and it sort of, it kind of took me out of it in a way. And then when I stopped enjoying the animation, the story and characters that was left behind was so either really generic or like really laughably bad for me, so I didn't like it. And I know that one's lots of people really like. That's my controversial one, I think.
I've never seen Demon Slayer, so I can't speak to that. I've also never seen Jujutsu Kaisen, but I've seen the movie of Jujutsu Kaisen because it's based
I love the Jujutsu Kaisen movie.
So I found it kind of weird. Because like, I hadn't seen this. So a lot of people watch the series and then watch the movie.
Yeah.
But the actual movie itself is based on a manga that predates the original series.
Yeah.
And I watched it that way. But the movie, I think, was made with a different thing in mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is it is a prequel, but it kind of also weirdly assumes that you know some of the base fundamentals from the main series.
I think that's right.
I think I watched it at the perfect time. I watched about like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes of the first series, and then I watched the movie, which is like, I think I really enjoyed the movie, and I like the characters in the movie more than some of the characters in the bits I watched of the season.
I had a really bad experience with my very first viewing of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, that's another one I really don't like.
So like, I watched, I think, so a friend of mine was really, really, really into it, and it was like one of those situations where like he wanted to really kind of parlay that interest onto me, and I like, so I watched and dedicated, like I watched like the first 2 arcs and a bit of the third one, and I was like, or per part, sorry, the first 2 parts and a bit of the third part, and I just really, I really didn't like the first part. I liked the second part fine enough. I wouldn't watch it again. And then the third part just completely lost me.
Yeah.
Then like 5 or 6 years later, I decided to make a series on it. But instead,
I'm aware of them.
Manga. Yeah. And I read the manga. And prior to reading the manga, I actually took Araki's, like he wrote a book on how to write manga, and I actually read it. I read it, and it was I thought it was really good. I actually have the book, when I finished reading, I was like, fuck, okay, I'll give this series another shot because the guy seems quite insightful. Maybe the anime fucked it up. Or maybe I just don't like the anime interpretation and I might fight more with the manga. And I really, really enjoyed the manga.
It was your video that convinced me to read the manga because I watched part 1 and 2 and everyone tells me this is my constant JoJo thing. Obviously, people say part 1's not like even that good. So I watched that and then I watched part 2 and everyone tells me part 2 is really good, but I really didn't like it that much. I felt like I didn't like part 2. Didn't like the characters. The story just felt really simple, and there was nothing to me that hooked me. And I didn't like the humor at all. It just wasn't my sense of humor either, so I didn't get that out of it. Same. So I then stopped. I was like, this isn't for me. And then I watched your video, and you were like, well, the manga's good. So I was like, okay, I'll read the manga. So I read the manga for part 3 and 4, and I still didn't like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And every time I read a part, people tell me, hey, yeah, you didn't like part 2, but part 3 is better. You didn't like part 3, but part 4 is better. You didn't like part 4, but part 5, that's the one. And I when is this going to stop?
So JoJo was kind of a weird one. Cause,
it feels like Power Rangers to me, is what it feels like.
One thing that I was also kind of rebelling against as well was that like I really hated that whenever I asked someone, why do you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? They'd say like memes and shit. I'm like, that's not a reason for me to watch something or get invited. Yeah. So when I read the book of Araki and I kind of read his story and what he went through, I could see I think one of my favorite things that I do or get to experience when I do review something is that I really dive into the author. And so with Kishimoto, you can really see that the entire story is almost like an allegory of his struggle to succeed as a mangaka and all that kind of stuff, and like to be accepted and all that kind of stuff. And that's really, really interesting. And I love that. And I kind of tackle that in the first part of my review series for it. But with Araki, he kind of like, he was like, especially with JoJo Part 3, with Jotaro and all that kind of stuff, he, at that time, he was losing manga sales and all that kind of stuff. And every producer around him was saying, look, Akira Toriyama is shit hot right now and tournaments are all the fucking rage. Do a tournament. Yeah. And he just said, no, I'm going to do my own thing. That takes fucking nuts. Like that's really fucking cool.
A lot of us have to realize that the context of which a lot of this manga is written is on a weekly basis, where if your sales aren't good enough, then it will be cancelled without you being able to finish your story.
Yeah.
And
So like there's a tremendous amount of pressure on it. Like, but like I don't know. I could see a lot of like what I read in that book in JoJo, and I think when I can see the author and kind of like understand his intent and what he's feeling and all that kind of stuff, I also got the vibe that like Araki is probably the only socially well-adjusted mangaka I've ever read about. He's like the only guy that I can actually have a conversation with that isn't just terrified of his shadow all the time.
Yeah.
So like yeah. I don't know. Araki seems like a cool guy.
I think you sort of were talking a little bit before we started recording about how the context in which you read something affects how much you like it. And I think that's part of that. Like, if you have more context around a story, like, it's going to totally change how you view it and how much you enjoy it.
100%. 100%.
Oh, Fairy Tail is bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just Fairy Tail. I read 15 volumes of it, and maybe people would say that's not enough. But
no, fuck the people that say that's not enough. 15 volumes. That's like fucking 2 years of fucking work.
I've read 15 volumes and I didn't like any of it.
No, like, dude, like 50. Like, if I recommend a show to somebody, I'll just say like, hey, look, watch an episode or two. If it's not your thing, give up.
I tend to give people, like, I guess it is show dependent. I will give people, if there's a show that I like or thing I will say give it this amount of time, but I'm not going to give them something crazy like.
Oh no, like I mean, I'll openly say Berserk probably doesn't really become what Berserk is known for until the second arc. But I'm not going to go to someone and say, hey, look, you have to read the first. Like, if they don't want to read the first arc, I'm like, I totally get it.
I think it's just more to manage expectations, because I don't want people to go into something thinking that this bit is what it's all like.
Yeah, well, like,
that makes sense.
That's part of the reason why I really like Attack on Titan. Because
it just starts strong.
The first episode tells you exactly what kind of show this is going to be. It doesn't pussyfoot around. It just gets to the point and really kind of hammers.
I think a lot of more modern anime and manga tends to be a stronger at the start now as well, because they
maybe I think it's mostly to do, like I think that's very possible. Yeah. But like I just have no time for like things that like, oh, you gotta watch the first 30 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a form of media that requires a time commitment like anime does, or like the anime fans expect you to put into it.
Well,
just
reading
to start
an extent,
enjoying something.
I would actually say reading to an extent. I've definitely heard. So there's a book series that Daniel Green's trying to recommend me called Red Rising, and everyone tells me that like books 2 to 4 are really amazing. You just got to get through the first book, but that's like 500 pages that you just got to get through.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like I totally get that this person, like whoever's saying this, like these are coming from people that soldiered through that part and then they really found this really gratifying experience later and they just want to share that. But I think that's totally fine that they want to share that with people, but they have to understand that if someone says that I don't want to read fucking 15 volumes of manga, or that's not enough to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
You
can still have an opinion on that first bit.
You know, that's very egotistical and very
100%
unsympathetic. I don't know.
Should we end the episode with our little draft? So,
let's wrap it up with our draft.
We end a lot of these episodes with doing a draft where we go. This is our first time doing it with 3 people, which is quite exciting. Where we'll have a category. So this is like you're crafting it like your ideal anime. I guess probably shonen, right? Where you're gonna have
that makes it easy. If we just
like
make
a protagonist, villain, rival, and then you have like a free category, and we'll just sort of go round. I guess we'll go clockwise. It is on Discord for me at least. So we'll go Shwabadi, Mark, then me, Shwabadi, Mark, then me.
Oh, okay.
And you can pick one in any category we want, and then at the end, the people in the comments will say which one they would prefer to watch. Is the idea. It's like a fun little thing.
Where can I see these categories somewhere, or are you going to say them?
I'm saying that the category is protagonist, villain, rival, and then a free category of your choice.
Okay. And you're crafting your own anime or manga, and the characters that you're drafting
are from
protagonist,
wherever you want.
Rival, is that what you said?
Yeah, and
protagonist, rival, villain,
and then a free category of your choice, as in a free it could be the love interest, it could be a funny side character, it could be anything that you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a weird one, but I think it could be fun, and then people.
You said I'm going first. Or
yeah,
Mark?
You always go first.
Oh, you love putting pressure on me. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start with, I'm going to start with rival character. I'm just going to pick Vegeta.
Perfect.
My answer.
I just really like Vegeta.
It's strong. Yeah. All right. Do you get the concept, Mr. Mark? Mister.
So
I don't know.
Pick a rival now.
No, you can pick anything.
You can pick any of those categories.
Yeah, you'll create up your little list.
So I'm going to be really fucking like obtuse about this and to say that like as a concept I get it, but like so like okay, Goku is brilliant, but in the context of Dragon Ball.
Yeah. That is the trick.
That's part of what you need to consider is like you need to take them out of that context and see how good they'd be.
Well, it's also the mesh between the four.
But like Luffy's great in the context of One Piece because like if you take like Luffy's great because he runs antithetical to pretty much everything else in the world. He is unabashedly, I am going to do this. This is what I'm going to do, and it's for a virtuous reason. Whereas the world government is by design the exact opposite of that. And so if you take Luffy out of that world, you kind of lose a lot of the potency that his character has because he doesn't have that same contrast.
Maybe you've got to pick a villain that would work with Luffy's character. See?
A villain that would work with Luffy's character. I'm just going to pick Luffy for a main character.
You're going to put Luffy for protagonist.
Okay. I love Luffy. Luffy's my favorite main character.
That is very, very strong. Oh gosh, I didn't actually think about it.
Deer in the headlights. Right
all right, deer in the headlights. I'm going to pick, for my protagonist, I'm going to say Hinata from Haikyuu.
Okay.
We haven't talked about Haikyuu at all, but it's one of my favorite animes, and I just love. I really like Haikyuu. I love him as a protagonist. I love his spirit. So go ahead, Mr. Shwabadi.
Oh Christ. I'm gonna pick as my protagonist Freerun.
Oh, that's strong.
From Freerun.
Yeah. So
Freerun is this elf
currently airing anime.
It's incredible. I highly recommend it. The whole concept is basically that she's an elf. She lives way longer than everyone else, and she has to come to terms with a lot of the people that she knows. And like,
it's called Freerun. F-R-I.
I think a friend of mine has actually said that to me already. And
it's good. I've really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of heart to it, and it's really, the characters are very well written. Like that's what
in my head as well for this draft. I'm kind of like power matching. Like Vegeta's power level is going to come a little bit down just so he fits in this world. Yeah. But just the idea of Vegeta and Freerun playing off each other is so funny because she is so unbothered.
Yeah.
Okay. Rock on. I think for a villain, I'm gonna have to. So Luffy's like really pure and good, and I like that stuff. So I want to try to create a contrast. I'm gonna have a villain Frieza. Space Hitler.
Ooh, that's perfect.
Okay,
yeah, that is so perfect.
I'm gonna go with that.
Just pure evil.
Pure evil.
He's also my favorite villain, so I really like Frieza.
Oh, okay,
no. He's great.
Your turn.
I'm actually gonna keep my ones really grounded. I'm gonna say, if this counts as a villain, I'm gonna do Askeladd from Vinland Saga.
Okay. I haven't watched enough of it to know.
I'm going. So you guys are going with actual like. All of my guys are just humans, but I like this idea. But imagine like Askeladd in a modern context, as opposed to a. I think he would be quite fun.
What is Askeladd doing that Hinata has to get involved? What is the plot?
He's played volleyball against Hinata's dad and beat him, so Hinata has to then.
That's so funny, dude.
Jesus.
Go ahead.
I have to pick a villain, dog. Oh my god. I feel like someone like Freerun and Vegeta need like a big governmental type villain. Like a big overarching thing. I feel like I would go with oh my god, what do they? Father from Full Metal Alchemist? Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Father.
Yeah. That's his name, right? From Fullmetal Alchemist?
It's been so long since I've watched Brotherhood.
Yeah. That's a good one, actually. I like that.
I would hope that entails his hierarchy.
Yes. Yeah. Just the seven deadly sins.
Like if you pick, the Akatsuki, you get them all or something like that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like a buddy cop movie now because I'm trying to think of like a rival. So like I'm trying to think of like you have like the kind of like really strong contrast between Space Hitler and Stretchy Good Boy, and I want to try to think of I want to try to think of like a good buddy cop kind of sequence. Maybe L from Death Note could be kind of interesting. I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe because like he's like super smart and like Luffy isn't.
Yeah. So, I'd love that.
That'd be interesting.
That would be such a wicked dynamic.
I think the thing, like Luffy's one of his biggest weaknesses is his stupidity, which is why like Foxy is such a great villain for me. I know it's a controversial art, but
I don't understand why people like that.
I think we all like Foxy here, right?
We all like Foxy. What all Foxy enjoys here. But what I love about Foxy is Foxy's not even that smart, but but he uses that, and Luffy falls for it, and it showcases one of Luffy's glaring weaknesses is his lack of intelligence in that.
Well, like, what's interesting actually about Luffy in that respect is that I actually do think he has like a really great emotional intelligence.
Oh,
like,
100%.
Like, I think one of the best things about Luffy, and I talk about this in the video that I'm about to release, but like it's like in every meeting that he's ever met with any one of his Straw Hats, eventually whatever people he will eventually recruit, like people around him, even people that he trusts, like Kobe, will say like, you shouldn't trust Zoro, he's a wanted man, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy never takes anyone's word. He wants to let someone's actions speak for themselves. So like he'll watch Zoro kind of like eat food off the ground like some kid made him, and like, okay, that's he's a very honorable person.
He's so anti-propaganda as a character.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like, because like he like as well, like people say shit about him and he knows they're wrong, but he doesn't feel compelled to kind of prove that he's wrong, that they're wrong. He'll just let his actions speak for themselves. So I think there's like that kind of profound not stoic, but like I feel like there's that kind of profound sort of like undercurrent of like emotional intelligence to Luffy that I think would be really interesting if you kind of put him with L, who's like just like pure logic the entire way. I feel like there'd be a nice opportunity then for Luffy to kind of like, you know, subvert expectations and be like, oh, that's actually a good point, Luffy. I didn't see it that way. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Oh,
I'm going to stick with my human theme, and I'm going to do the rival as Seto Kaiba.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's all, you know, Hinata, Seto Kaiba, Askeladd. These are three personalities that I think would clash really well in sort of a modern setting.
Really interestingly, Hinata and Kaiba would hate each other.
Yeah. Because
Kaiba, so good.
Kaiba is so like, he feels like a character from a sports anime anyway.
Yeah.
It's just the sport is Yu-Gi-Oh! Like,
Great sport.
Yeah, incredible. All right, Shwabadi.
You said the fourth one was a free space?
Yeah,
just like
it's just
someone
like,
else we can throw in on the cast?
You know, it could be like a love interest, it could be a comic relief, it could be whatever.
I was thinking comic relief, and I kind of want Reagan Arataka from Mob Psycho.
Oh, that's good.
Just as like their quote-unquote mentor figure, but obviously...
mentor figure is really good.
I am so upset that I can't have Reagan. Reagan was my favorite character from that story.
Oh.
He's so good.
Oh, that's really bothered me now.
Yeah. Oh, like mental figure's so good.
What I love about the draft format of like trying to come up with things is like someone will say a character and everyone else will go,
I need other categories. I can't think of comic relief because that would have been perfect.
It could be it's anything. Mentor.
Yeah, comic relief, sensei,
love interest.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
For comic relief, I almost picked Puck from Berserk.
Yeah.
Because I love that little guy. But I was like, nah.
Oh, I'm
it's probably a really good one actually. I'm just I'm thinking Berserk now because I do love Berserk. I love me some Berserk, but
yeah, I'm cooking in my brain. I've got one.
Yeah, you go. You
want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
What if I draft what you want?
I need more time. Trust me, you won't.
Okay, yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna say for that bonus character, Koro Sensei from Assassinated Classroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because cool. I'm gonna have him as like the driving. He's not a villain. He's not a villain. But he's. I'm having him in the mentor role because he's such a good mentor. Imagine Koro Sensei and Hinata is enrolled in Koro Sensei school. Seto Kaiba too. Askeladd's like the other teacher that's like mean.
That's what you brought him in.
This is my AU school. That's what it is.
This sounds like a crazy fanfic.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're doing, right? That's just what we're doing. We're creating fanfics.
Yeah.
I just really like All Might, so I think I might just kind of throw All Might in as like a mentor kind of character.
All Might's really strong.
Okay.
All right.
I like All Might.
Do you want to recap all of our lists and then the comments could decide which one's best? I'll start. I've got Hinata.
Go ahead.
Hinata as a protagonist, Askeladd as the villain, Seto Kaiba as the rival, and Koro Sensei as a mentor. Shwabadi.
I've got Freerun as my protagonist. Their rival is Vegeta. The villain is father from Full Metal Alchemist and all that he entails. And the sensei mentor comic relief character is Reagan Arataka.
Reagan is so fuck. I like yours right now just because of Reagan. Reagan is so fire. I seriously, he's like my protagonist is Luffy. The rival is L, and the villain is Frieza. And my kind of mentor character is All Might.
All Might. I love that. I love that.
I really want to watch that
I would
just
watch that.
to see Luffy and Frieza go against each
just
other.
Luffy, Frieza,
Like,
and L as like a trifecta of like
is crazy.
That's so good. I'd love that. I'd love that. Well, that's it. That's it. That's the episode. I hope you had a good time, Mr. Totally Not Much.
Thank you for joining us down the hobby hole.
Yeah, thank you for joining us down the hobby hole. We really appreciate it. You're our first guest, so that means a lot to us. And
I had a great time. Thank you very much for having me.
And you're a very, very lovely man. We love your videos. We love everything that you do, and we love your personality. We'll get you on for a running episode in the future, and then you can really talk about your hobby.
I'm also into WWE, so if you want to...
Yeah, we were thinking about WWE is we're not, but we want to do an episode on it where somebody tells us about it.
WWE is like, honest to God, modern theater. It's it's very interesting. Like, if you actually get into wrestling, you'll never get out. It is so fascinating.
Little Karibo and Falero back in the day tried to really try and get me into it. Like when at Alcon, when I was staying with them at Alcon, they would just put wrestling on the TV to try and indoctrinate me, but I wasn't getting it at the time. But I was also I was like 16. Like
but like there's like inside baseball with wrestling as well. Like there are inside terms, and you also kind of have to get into the storylines. And then once you get into the storylines, you start learning the characters. And once you're in the characters, you start learning about them backstage and the politics that are going on backstage, and who's kissing who and who's screwing someone over. And like, honest to God, it's like a male soap opera. It's fucking brilliant. I just watched the Royal Rumble, and it was fucking anyway. Good one.
Well, okay. So we'll get you on. We'll get you on for that if you are interested.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming. We don't actually have a set outro yet. We just say thank you everyone for watching.